Welcome to the Horror Next Door. We're back with some of our favorite new horror trailers for July 2020. If you enjoy everything from the world of horror, movies, video games, masks, and memorabilia, please subscribe. Now, on with the trailers.
A Night of Horror, Nightmare Radio. Radio DJ Rod hosts a popular horror-themed show packed with tales of terror for eager listeners. When he receives alarming calls from a horrified child, things start to feel off. There's a moment in this trailer where the radio DJ says, "in a dark, dark room." I'm wondering if it has anything to do with the book that came out in the 80s, In a Dark, Dark Room and Other Scary Stories, which was a bunch of poems and urban legends retold for children by Alvin Schwartz, whose name you might recognize from all the retelling of the stories that he did in the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark series. I don't fully recognize any of the shorts as something from that book based on memory, but there are a lot of quick cuts and there are a lot of parts to this anthology, so there could be some cool surprises in there.
So looking this movie up on IMDb, it apparently has 10 directors, so there seems to be a lot of shorts in this hour and 40-minute film. You can't go wrong with a good horror anthology film. There's always at least one good short in every horror anthology film that's the standout one, the fan favorite, or at least the one that you enjoy as a viewer. So bring it on. Love me some horror anthology films. Can't wait to see this.
Amulet. An ex-soldier living homeless in London is offered a place to stay at a decaying house inhabited by a young woman and her dying mother. As he starts to fall for her, he cannot ignore his suspicion that something sinister is going on. I had seen a couple of reviews online for this movie saying that it was extremely gory and disturbing, and they were recommending it. So we actually sought out this trailer purposefully. It did definitely make me want to see the movie. I'm curious to know what's going on with the mother, and there are lots of quick cuts that you don't know what is going on, and it seems like one of those trailers that doesn't even remotely show you half the insane things you're going to see. So I'm looking forward to watching it.
So this movie releases July 24th, and by the time you see this video, it will already be out on demand. So seek it out. I don't even know what to say about this trailer. It looks awesome, and I'm really interested in seeing it. I just have no idea what to say about it. Is she giving birth to a Satan baby or something? Like, I don't even know what's going on. So yes, intrigued. Need to see it.
Let It Snow. Separated from her fiancé after sneaking onto a restricted slope, Mia, a free-riding snowboarder, must survive not only against nature, but the masked snowmobile rider in black who's out for her blood. I'm not sure why, but I tend to really enjoy films set in winter settings with snow and things. I think that is a huge part of the draw of this movie, is she has to find a way to survive against the elements on top of being chased by some crazy person. Or maybe multiple people. The synopsis we got online does make it sound like there's just one person. But with how vast everything looks, it makes it seem like it'd be kind of hard for one person to pull that off. So I guess we'll see. The part with the flowers, I guess, is especially weird. The fact that he set that up and had her fiancé sitting there waiting as kind of like bait. It's crazy. Looks really good. I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, when I saw the trailer, I thought there was more than one killer as well, so the synopsis kind of threw me for a loop. The trailer kind of reminded me of something like The Hills Have Eyes, only in the snow in the mountains, so that's a good thing. I'm curious why this guy is hanging out in this area doing this stuff. How long has he been doing this stuff?
Yeah, what's his motivation?
Yeah, who is this guy? Like, I don't know. I hope they explain some stuff. I mean, obviously it's better to have a little bit of mystery. Yeah, the movie looks fun. Can't wait to see it.
Dead Dicks. After Becca receives a distressing call from her suicidal brother Richie, she rushes over to his apartment and finds him alive and well, surrounded by copies of his own dead body. This theme has been done a few times before, similar to something like Happy Death Day, and there was some Netflix show they made, I can't remember the name of, with Natasha Lyonne, but the cloning thing and the I'm dying but I keep coming back thing, It has been done, but I don't recall seeing where the bodies just keep piling up, and I think that that's one of the most intriguing things about this. It also seems to have a really twisted sense of humor. It just looks like a very interesting, darkly funny movie.
This movie looks very interesting. There are some moments in the trailer where it does look like it's going to be pretty sick or pretty fucked up, so I'm looking forward to that, to see how far they really go with certain things. I'm also curious how many times he ends up killing himself, because if he leaves a dead body of himself behind every time, I'm curious by the end of the film, is there just piles of bodies in like these certain rooms where you can't even get, it's like a hoarder or something, just dead bodies everywhere. And it's going to be interesting, so looking forward to seeing this one.
Panacea. A young woman is held captive in an underground medical facility where selected individuals are perpetually mutilated and then healed using an experimental miracle drug, a panacea.
Panacea stars Ashlyn Yenny, who starred in the Human Centipede 1 and 2.
Originality is quite a rarity in film these days, so I appreciate that this seems like something, at least to my knowledge, that hasn't been done before. There are lots of things that take place in medical facilities and testing and whatnot in lots of different films, not just the horror genre, but I think this looks different. Lots of pretty crazy looking surgical procedures and experiments going on here. The trailer just does a good job of making you want to know more about what's going on and why.
I guess one of the questions that came to my mind after watching this trailer was, if these people are having body parts removed and then healed using a miracle drug, almost like regrowing certain parts and things, then what are they doing with the original parts that have been removed? Is there something sinister going on there? Are they creating some kind of Frankenstein army in the back somewhere? Who knows? Yeah, the surgical procedures, those kind of scenes always kind of freak me out. So that's going to be interesting. This movie looks very weird. Can't wait to see it.
Possessor. Possessor follows an agent who works for a secretive organization that uses brain implant technology to inhabit other people's bodies, ultimately driving them to commit assassinations for high-paying clients.
Possessor is written and directed by Brendan Cronenberg, who is the son of David Cronenberg. Brendan Cronenberg is known for directing the movie Antiviral. Possessor stars Andrea Riseborough, who starred in the 2020 version of The Grudge, Oblivion, and an episode of Black Mirror. Jennifer Jason Leigh, who starred in the original 1986 The Hitcher, among many other things. Sean Bean, who you should know. Tuppence Middleton, who starred in Disappearance at Clifton Hill and an episode of Black Mirror. And Christopher Abbott, who starred in Piercing, which if you haven't seen, you should. That movie is so weird. And It Comes at Night, which I like to call Nothing Comes at Night.
What is there to say besides this shit looks bananas? B-A-N-A-N-A-S.
So based on the synopsis, I never would have guessed that was going on based on the trailer. The movie looks super intriguing and super weird, like Father Like Son with David Cronenberg and Brendan Cronenberg. Also, if Sean Bean is in it, I am going to predict right now that he will die, because he dies in pretty much every movie he's in.
The Medium. Discover a dark mystery only a medium can solve. Explore the real world and the spirit world at the same time. Use your psychic abilities to solve puzzles spanning both worlds, uncover deeply disturbing secrets, and survive encounters with the Maw, a monster born from an unspeakable tragedy. The Medium is a third-person psychological horror game that features patented dual reality gameplay.
The Medium is developed by Bloober Team, who brought us Layers of Fear, Observer, and the video game of The Blair Witch. It's coming to Windows PC and Xbox Series X.
When we first saw this trailer and they showed the part where the screen split and everything was happening on both sides in real time, we both were just like, what? We thought it was so cool. And as I mentioned about one of the movies earlier, it's kind of hard to find originality these days. I think there's a lot more creativity in video games than there are in horror movies these days, but this is so cool and something that has not been done before. I think that's why they pointed out that it was a patented way to play a game, and man, there is just so much going on in this, and it just sounds so interesting, and it looks spooky.
Yes, I'm a sucker for anything post-apocalyptic looking, so just seeing her walk around in a post-apocalyptic world drew me in right away. With the other world that's going on at the same time, it really reminded me of Silent Hill, which is a great thing. I love Silent Hill. This game looks awesome. Really interested in playing it and seeing how this dual reality thing plays out, controlling her in the same space but in two different worlds. It's going to be really cool and really interesting. And I'm also curious to see what this mall monster thing looks like.
Last but most certainly not least, Terrifier 2. After being resurrected by a sinister entity, Art the Clown returns to the timid town of Miles County, where he targets a teenage girl and her younger brother on Halloween night.
Terrifier 2 is written and directed by Damien Leone, who brought us the first Terrifier as well as All Hallows Eve. David Howard Thornton returns as Art the Clown. Samantha Scafidi returns as Victoria Hayes. Terrifier 2 also stars Felissa Rose of Sleepaway Camp fame, and Tamara Glynn, who played Samantha in Halloween 5.
The first Terrifier was pretty polarizing. I feel like people either loved it or hated it. There were a lot of complaints that I saw from people saying that it was too simplistic and there wasn't a story, but I am a huge fan of the first movie. I think it is so fun to watch, which sounds really twisted, but Art the Clown is just such an amusing and entertaining villain. The faces he makes, his attitude, it's just too funny, and I cannot wait to see what he's going to be up to in this one. It's also really awesome to see another badass chick fighting back and going up against him. Obviously, it looks like there's going to be a lot of great special effects once again. Damien Leone seems really great at that. This is a franchise that I support wholeheartedly to the point where we actually both contributed to the crowdfunding campaign.
I'm a huge fan of 80s horror films, and the first Terrifier really did remind me of an 80s horror film. A lot of people said that the movie didn't really have much of a story. It was just all gore and killing. You go watch a lot of 80s horror movies, and that's pretty much what they are. Also, another thing that's reminiscent of like 80s horror films is when the kid says, "They never found his body." It's very, you hear that a lot in a lot of 80s movies, especially, you know, when they make sequels and things. Oh, they never found his body. So I love that very 80s-esque reference. They never found his body. Terrifier 2, cannot wait. Art the Clown is great. There's a lot of movies that come out and they say, oh, this is the next big slasher villain or something like that. And then you get something stupid, Bye-Bye Man. You know, but with Art the Clown, he actually is the next big, you know, horror villain that can actually stand up, you know, with the greats. Cannot wait. I know this is probably more of a teaser trailer than a full trailer, but we'll probably have the full trailer if they ever release one on here as well, because I'm excited.
As always, thank you very much for watching. Feel free to leave a comment letting us know your thoughts on these trailers. All of the trailers that we discussed will be linked in the description box below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and don't forget to check out our store and visit our social media pages. Until next time, watch out for creepy clowns.
They never found his body.